yearly pay.
I will reply with a whole lot of anger.
I will reply with a whole lot of anger.
Earn my pay as an airborne ranger.
Earn my pay as an airborne ranger.
Hello, this is Corporal O'Brien from the 1st Ranger Battalion, and today we're going to be going over range estimation, or rather range estimation in Arma 3 and some pro tips of my own. We're going to be going over a few other interesting topics as well later on in the video. But before we get started, I highly recommend that you grab a pen or pencil, a piece of paper to do some work on, and something else to take notes on. However you prefer to do that, is I highly recommend you guys take notes because you're going to be learning a lot of things here today that'll be very useful for you when you're on an op, deploy, or just training. Okay, so let's get started. So let's get a target created here. So as you know from my previous videos, that 771 meters, that you can use the known height of a target to estimate distance using the mil.scope. So now that being said, there are a lot of differences between Arma 2 and Arma 3, and this is the first bit that you should write down so you know to reference it later. Now I did a bit of experimenting because it's a pain in the ass to go on Google and Google out what's the average height or what's the height of a soldier in Arma. So I did all the work for you guys, and I'm just gonna tell you. Well, according to the mil.scope in Arma 3, which is a bit funky, and I'll explain why later as well. So, the height of any soldier in this game, doesn't matter who they are, when they're standing straight up, weapons down, just like this, they are 2 meters tall. Now, watch when I put out the weapon. I just dropped a little bit in height. See my head ducked down? Now it's back up, and it's down. So that equates to actually a significant factor at long ranges when you're trying to determine height. So Arma 3 has all these stance adjustments like so, and it's going to be really hard to figure out what the guy's height is between all those stances, so you don't need to know that. What you need to know, because almost all the AI and other players are going to use, are standing and standing with weapons down. So, standing with weapons down, 2 meters. Standing weapons out is 1.833 meters. Okay. 1.833 meters weapons up, standing weapons down, 2 meters. Okay, so when I'm crouched, as you remember in Arma 2, all you have to do is half that, and it's not quite that simple. So the way Arma 3 does the stance system now is just works out to be 1.3 meters. Even when my weapon's up or down doesn't matter, because you see my head, it goes down the same position as it started. If I put my weapon out, still the same position. It's not that big of a difference at longer ranges. Okay. So now, this target out here, which is probably what you'll be using most for your personal training. This target right here. Did the workout for this already. This target works out to be, with this scope anyway, with the Arma 3 mil-dot scope, works out to be 1.9 meters tall. So say that again, 1.9 meters tall. Or around there. But, yep, you say accurate to about 1 centimeter, I would say. I did a lot of trial and error and experimentation to get it down to the closest number, and 0.9 meters is really all you need. Okay. So I'm not going to do range finding over again because I already have that in my previous video, even though it's Arma 2. The whole concept of using mil-dot scope and mil-radians to estimate distance still applies. Even in Arma 3, real life, Arma 2, Arma 1, I don't care. If you got an accurate mil-dot scope, you can range find if you know the height. Okay. So, the next thing I'm going to be going over is some little pro tips for range finding, because you're not always going to have ideal situations. So, what I mean by that is your target may be partially obscured by a bush, he may be partially behind defilade, he may be on a rooftop, and whatever the situation may be, his silhouette or his essentially the target picture is slightly obscured. You can still land a shot, don't get me wrong, but his torso and down may be obscured, his head may be slightly obscured, whatever the case may be, and you cannot range find because you cannot use the mil dots to range find anymore. And then you're going to find that happening because more likely than not, when you're going against AI or another person, they're going to be smart enough to use a bit of cover, and therefore they're going to be partially obscured. So the way that you're going to get around that is you cannot use them as a reference anymore. You have to find something else as a reference. What I mean by that is if they're standing next to an object, standing next to a shape or something that you can use to range find, then that's perfectly fine. So I'm going to do a little bit here with Zeus. I apologize, it's way out there. Okay, just had a bit of a freeze there. Alright, we're back. Okay, so here's the target. Remember I said it was 1.9 meters tall. So let's spawn something in front of it to obscure it. And where are objects at? So let's have a whole heap of barrels in front of it. So now I cannot see the target anymore, or the lower half of it. Now, let's put a black barrel right next to it, and just say he's in an industrial area or something of the sort. Get down and steady my scope. And there it is. You'll see I cannot range find the target anymore because I cannot see his feet. I may be able to see his feet in this case, but you get the idea. I cannot see his entire body. It's going to be a pain to... I can't really see his feet, and if I can't do that, I can't accurately place my cross. So, what we do have is this conveniently placed barrel next to him. We could even use these barrels from which he's using as cover. Okay, so it turns out that these barrels are 0.9 meters tall. Say again, 0.9 meters tall. So using that, let's see that right now. 0.9, this barrel looks like it's about maybe 2 mils high. Remember the equation from the previous video. 0.9 meters times 1,000 makes 900. Divide by the mil read, which is 1.2. And you get 750 meters. So, how far did I actually set this guy out? Let's see. That's binos. My bad. Okay, 777 1 meters. So 750 meters, that is about 20 meters off, 21 meters off, and that's pretty damn close. If I set my rifle to anywhere within that, within 50 meters, I'm probably still going to hit my target. So, let's give it a shot and see if I'm right and not just blowing smoke. Alright, 700 meters. I said it was 750 meters, so 750 meters at 700 range would probably be around 1.6 mils high, so let's try and see if I can put a round right in his face. And got a hit. And let's see if I can use Zeus to see where I hit the target. And it hit a little bit low, went right over the barrels, and hit him right in the chest. This is a center mass shot. It's exactly what you want to go for. I misspoke before I said going right for his head. I just said that because his body was obscured by the barrels. But anyway. So that's what I mean by using another object as reference. So barrels are something that are commonplace in military compounds, military facilities, and you can use them. The other thing that you can use are windowsills. Windowsills are everywhere. And in Altis and on a lot of maps, these windows are on a lot of buildings. They use these same type of windows on a lot of buildings. So, this here, windowsill, I misspoke. Not the windowsill. You're only going to take into account the window. Do not account for the windowsill, because a windowsill may change. Windowsills may change in length or width. But you're going to want to use the height. Height is the most reliable reference for a window, because if you go left or right like I am right here, the width of the window is completely changed because I'm off to the right. Now if I was up or down, that would offset the height, but not as much, and I'll explain why. Alright, so moving off of what I said before. See the window here, the window width? It's much different than what it actually is. The reason being is because we are off-center. The further off I am from the perpendicular, which means if you have the flat face on the wall and you drew a line going away from the wall, that makes a 90 degrees, so you guys should know what perpendicular means. And that hits me, that means I am truly directly in front of the wall, and that's how wide the windowsill is. I'm seeing the true width of the windowsill. Now, if I moved off to the left or right of that, the windowsill looks narrower and narrower until I cannot see the window anymore. Now, the height never changes from left to right. It does change, using the same concept, is going up or down. However, you're not going to be, even at like high elevations in Altis of like 300 meters, the sill may change in width, but not that significant. Okay. So now, as I said before, the windowsill is 1.8 meters tall. So let's do some range estimation to see how far this house is away from us. This would be 1.8 times 1,000, which makes 1,800. Divide that by 1. Let's see. Now, if you recall, mil dots properly made are 1/10 of a mil from the center of the dot to the outside of the dot. I'll say that again. 1/10 of a mil from the outside of the dot to the center of the dot. So that's why you see the top of the first dot is not touching the sill up there. So that means it's about 1.2. All right. So 1.2, or between 1.1 and 1.2, and I get 1500 meters. What about our laser rangefinders? And we got 1485 or 1484, which is pretty damn close. So now in Arma, keep in mind that the further the objects are away, they get kind of distorted. That's why if I actually got closer, see how like the textures are bugging out a bit? It's kind of hard for me to tell where the bottom of this of the window really is. Not the sill, once again, where the window is. So that's why I had to introduce a little bit of fudge factor. Now I want you to see something, the little bit of error. For example, what if I said that it was only 1.1 mils high? So let's do same thing, 1800 divided by 1.1, and we get 1636. That is over 100 meter difference. I can completely overshoot my target at this range. However, how often are you going to be making a shot at 1400 meters? Probably not that often. So that's just something to take into consideration. Okay, so that covers that. Using alternate objects as reference points for range finding. Once again, say for example there's a dude and I'm trying to hit him and he was in that doorway over there, that window or that doorway, and I could not see his whole body. So because of this bush, because of the pillar, whatnot, and I'm like, oh crap, I cannot see him. So what do you use? You use the window right here, because that's a known height, because you've done it, or I've told you. You can figure this out yourself. You can do some back calculation using the equation. Target height times 1,000 divided by mil read gives you the distance. Okay. Anyway, so that covers that. Now, I'm going to be going over some other interesting tips. So you guys have probably taken geometry in school and you've heard about Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now you guys are probably going like, oh crap, what is he talking about? So that is immensely helpful for when you need to find the distance. When you're doing prior planning to an operation, you're going to be performing a sniper role or any long range role or reconnaissance role. So for example, let's use a reference point. This hill right here, hill 89, and this grid 203, 187, keypad 5 or 8, and you're in this hill right here. Now I want to set up right here because it looks like we got some buildings, might have some vegetation, has a pretty good vantage point. It's 88 meters over 11 meters in elevation, or 17 meters here. So it's got a pretty good vantage point, and then you can also see this checkpoint. So whatever the case may be. And your goal is to recon this or provide some long-range support. And you want to find out how far away this is from this point. With that, before you even get there, before actually doing the operation. So, you find you cannot go directly this way. I mean, you can try and guess, which you could, but it's not very accurate. So here's what we're going to do. It's about, let's say, middle in the square here, so let's go to the next middle of the next square. 100 meters. 200 meters, 300 meters, 400 meters, 500 meters, 600 meters. Now I'm directly below the center of this military facility, right here. So that's 600 meters on the horizontal. Now let's find the vertical component. 100 meters, 200 meters, 300 meters, 400 meters, 500 meters. So, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So now you can think of this as the x component squared plus the y component squared equals the hypotenuse, which is the long side of the triangle. I'm going to draw it for you out using this right now. Bam, bam, bam. So there's your right triangle right here. And I'll just do this little thing here just to show that it's a right triangle. So you have that, oops. There we go. Okay, so you have a triangle here. And as I said, 600 meters across, 500 meters up. So let's do it. 600 meters squared plus 500 meters squared equals 610,000 meters squared. So you want to square root that, and you get 781 meters. So let's see how accurate we were. And to the center of that compound. And there's a bit of lag as I load into the new area. So let's see, am I facing the right direction? Should be around northeast. There it is. Alright, my GPS. Yep, I'm in the correct hide. Whip out a laser rangefinder. And we lag some more. Okay, as you can see, the center of the compound here, which is 776 meters, which was pretty damn close to the actual range. So that's... So, there you have it. That's how you find range just using the map.